Was Chris Curtis robbed, or did Brendan Allen get his justified win? Well, that's what we're here to discuss as I break down the entirety of tonight's fight night. I'm going to go over every single one of these fights. We're going to have to start off with this controversial decision in the main event. A lot of people are crying robbery. Some people are pushing back and saying, not all close fights are robberies, man. And I hate that statement just because every single robbery, 99% of them are close fights, okay? Just because it's a close fight does not mean it's not a robbery, okay? That don't mean shit. I mean, have you ever seen a total annihilation robbery? I don't think I can think of one. So, it was close, but is it a robbery? By the way, I went 9-1 on picks. The only one I got wrong was Alexander Hernandez and Damon Jackson. I could have had a 100% clean sweep, and I actually think that was a fucking robbery, okay? So I think I should have gone 10-0, but should I? Or should I have gone 8-2 if this Brendan Allen fight was a robbery? Let's get into the main event. Check the timestamps in the description if you guys want to hear a take of mine on a particular fight. Main event. The judges were all over the place. Only one judge got this kind of right, and that was the guy that scored this fight to Brendan Allen 48-47. Now, I'm not saying he's 100% right because I'm about to kind of argue my main point, and whatever conclusion I get to at the end of the argument, that's who wins. But the point that I'm making is one guy scored it 48-47 for Brendan Allen. The other two judges were all out of whack. One guy gave it 48-47 for Chris Curtis, but he gave the fourth round to Chris Curtis, which he didn't win. I gave that round to Brendan Allen. That was a clear round. He got his momentum back in that round. He outstruck Chris Curtis a little bit and had a lot of control time. Okay? And was stinking it up and smudging it out. And there were close exchanges on the feet. So therefore, if it's close, you give the guy the round that has the grappling moments and the control time. Another guy gave it 49-46 for Brendan Allen, but he gave the third round, which was the round where Allen got badly rocked and he was almost out. I mean, he was literally out on his feet. He gets a saving grace takedown and ends up taking Curtis's back and has it for like 30 seconds. But Allen got so badly rocked in that round, that's such a big moment, you have to give that to Curtis based on damage. So that doesn't work, a 49-46. The guy that gave it 48-47, Derek Clearly, is the closest thing to being right. He gave the first round to Brendan Allen, which I agree with. He gave the second round to Chris Curtis. I agree with that. And the third round to Chris Curtis and the last two to Brendan Allen. So let's break this down looking at Derek Clearly's scorecard. Let's break down the first round. I think he was right with a 10-9. Brendan Allen won the first. The striking exchanges were close, but Brendan Allen was landing with a tiny bit more volume, and he had some really nasty heavy kicks in there, some good low kicks, great body kicks, and he was in there on the feet in the boxing too, but because he got a takedown in the middle of the round, or I should say the beginning actually, even though he wasn't able to keep it, he did rack up some good control time, and that means something. If it's a close round, the guy that gets a decent amount of control time, who takes the back of their opponent, who also makes it close on the feet and kind of just edges it out a little bit, you give him the round. So I think every single judge gave him that round. Round two, I rewatched it. Chris Curtis outstruck Brendan Allen slightly, especially landing the harder shots. So I gave Chris Curtis that round because he had a little bit more volume and his shots were landing harder than Brendan Allen's. He was landing a lot of them to the head, which seemed to be more impactful. The third round is a Chris Curtis round as well because he rocked Brendan Allen at the end of it. Rocked him badly. It was almost like that sequence that we saw in the first fight. It looked literally identical. Even in the first fight, Brendan Allen shoots a takedown to try to save himself and Curtis stuffs it. So imagine if he stuffs that takedown, he's probably able to finish Brendan Allen there with 30 seconds left on the clock or 40. Okay? So going into round four, it is a 2-1 Chris Curtis fight. Round four, Brendan Allen gains his momentum back. He takes down Chris Curtis and just racks up tons of control time in that round and has some decent moments on the feet when it comes to the striking. And I was even saying while watching this, if Brendan Allen just shoots these takedowns in the fifth round, he's going to win the fight, which was not necessarily the case. But my point is, I was confident that Brendan Allen, because at that point, he'd only shot 4 takedowns, and he had got 3 of them. And every single one of those 3 takedowns, he took the back immediately. So he got the back of Chris Curtis. He even mounted him in the fourth. I gave him that round. His takedown accuracy was looking phenomenal until the 5th. So it's 2-2 going into the 5th. The striking exchanges are very close early on, before Brendan Allen starts failing his takedowns. But Chris Curtis is landing a little bit harder, okay? A little bit more significantly, and he's getting more of a reaction out of Brendan Allen. So before the first takedown is shot and failed, Chris Curtis is out ahead just by a little bit, landing harder, maybe landing 1 or 2 more, but very close. Brendan Allen shoots a takedown, he gets it stuffed, Chris Curtis sprawls it, and Brendan Allen is kissing the mat on all fours. Not a good optic at all, okay? Way worse than when people were complaining about Aljo kissing the mat in front of Henry Cejudo. This is worse. But to be fair, Curtis was sprawling on him. But either way, even when Curtis would get up and let Allen get up to his feet, Allen would still be moving his head on the ground, and it just wasn't a good look. Rinse and repeat, couple of close striking exchanges. Brendan Allen shoots a takedown, it gets stuffed, and Chris Curtis this time starts landing some nice ground and pound shots. I think he landed 3 shots to the body, a couple to the leg of Brendan Allen, so he's doing something on the ground. He lets Brendan Allen get up to his feet again. So right now, I think Chris Curtis is winning. But it's not like the ground and pound strikes are really worth a lot, and it's not like that control that he has over Brendan Allen when he stuffs a takedown is really kind of separating himself that much, but he is winning. Then we have the final minute and 30 seconds where Brendan Allen shoots a panic takedown. He gets it. He takes the back of Chris Curtis. Not really able to do much with it. Curtis reverses the position. I think Brendan Allen even fumbles a leg lock or some shit like that. Anyway, Chris Curtis is able to get up to his feet, so Brendan Allen racks up some control time. So I think it's kind of close, but maybe Chris Curtis is still out ahead by a little bit. But again, it's kind of close. And then in the last 30 seconds, Chris Curtis badly hurts himself, tears his hamstring, and just grimaces up in front of the fence and is hurt. And you can see him wincing. And Brendan Allen pounces on him with 15 seconds to go and lands maybe 5 or 6 strikes, a couple on the guard, but Chris Curtis collapses at the very end of the round, and it's clear that he's hurt. So on one hand, you have people that are going to be saying, oh, don't be an asshole, dude. He got hurt. Don't be a fucking dick. Have some class. He got hurt. On the other hand, people are going to be saying, he got hurt and that's damage. So how do you want to look at it? If the judges see Chris Curtis badly injure himself, is it really him injuring himself, or is it him fighting Brendan Allen for 25 minutes? Because if you're fighting Brendan Allen for 25 minutes, you're more likely to have a hamstring injury than if you were not fighting him, okay? Injuries count, all right? Now, yes, if it happened in the first round, it'd be a little bit fluky. I fucking lisp moment. First round, if it happens early, you could look at it as a bit of a fluke, but it happens in deep waters. Chris Curtis has been stuffing takedowns, and he then injures his hamstring. So if you're going to count the amount of damage, if we're talking damage, and you're going to count that extra damage, then you're probably going to say Brendan Allen on damage wins the 5th. Look at Chris Curtis, wincing up against the fence, shelling up, looking like he's about to cry. I mean, it was not a good look for him either. But if you don't really want to give too much credit to that little injury, then you kind of have to give that round to Chris Curtis. So it's interesting. Do you count that damage? Because why wouldn't you? Right? It's like, what if someone breaks their nose and they fall down? Oh, my nose, right? You kind of have to count that. Why is it that if it's a leg thing, a hamstring, even if it's a muscle versus a bone, if someone breaks their arm and there's 10 more seconds left, that's a lot of damage. This guy broke his fucking arm, right? I mean, he didn't bail out of the fight. That's good, but it is a lot of damage. I don't know. I think that if you're going to count the damage of that injury, then Brendan Allen wins the round. If you're not, then Chris Curtis was winning the round in the last minute where Brendan Allen had a little bit of control time and 5 extra strikes. I don't know if that's enough. It seemed like Chris Curtis was winning that round. It seemed like Brendan Allen only won the 1st and the 4th and was losing the majority of the 5th. Either way, it was not a great performance for Brendan Allen. He did take down Chris Curtis a lot, did nothing with it. His striking was okay, but he got outboxed and he was entertaining the boxing too much. But at least he showed his toughness. It was a great fight overall, amazing war. But I'm still not 100% on whether or not it was a robbery. Again, if you're not counting that hamstring injury as something like damage, then of course, Chris Curtis should win that 5th round. He was winning like 4 minutes of it. So it depends on how you look at it. I mean, I hate to sit on the fence. I hate to sit on the fence because, again, if it was like a facial injury and he broke his orbital bone and there was like an unfortunate moment where he's wincing up against the fence, I would say, damn, that counts as damage. But because he takes a weird step, I don't even know what it was. I think Brendan Allen threw like a knee up against the fence, but maybe Chris Curtis had already hurt his hamstring and the pain was just setting in after he stuffed one of those takedowns. Because it's a leg injury, it's kind of hard to gauge. So were the judges looking at that? Because the only way you can give Brendan Allen that round is if you can't count that damage, okay? Maybe Chris Curtis should have had a better poker face, and maybe he should have shot a nice desperation takedown and just bit down on the mouthpiece and got through the pain, because if he did that, then I think he may have won. Maybe not. Maybe the UFC would have robbed him anyway. Who knows? I'm saying rob him. It honestly seems like Chris Curtis won the majority of that fight, if I'm being real. Okay? If I'm being real, it seems like he won the majority of that fight. But it's just a strange one. You're not always going to have a fight where you can clearly call it a robbery. So I can't just give you the, yes, it was a robbery, or no, it wasn't. It was arguably a robbery, depending on how you view that damage. Anyway, let's get on to the next one. Before we get on to the next one, let me know what you think in the comments, okay? And for Brendan Allen, not the performance he needed to separate himself from the rest of the up-and-coming guys. I know this was supposed to be Marvin Vettori. How would he have done against Marvin Vettori? You know what? I think he may have beat Marvin Vettori, because what's Vettori going to do? Take him down? Fuck no. Does Vettori have better boxing than Chris Curtis? Fuck no. Does he have a good chin? So does Chris Curtis. I think it would have been an even easier fight for Brendan Allen. But my point is, he did not look like he's going to beat up anyone in the top 5. And Curtis looked real good, looked hungry in this fight. I don't know who's next for Brendan Allen. I'm hearing some news of Jared Cannonier fighting Imavov, so I don't know who would even be available. Maybe Paulo Costa, but Costa's a big name. I don't know if the UFC is going to want to pair him up with Brendan Allen. Allen doesn't seem to have a lot of hype. So let's get on to the next one. Alexander Hernandez and Damon Jackson. I started off this video alluding to me thinking that this could be a bit of a robbery. Early on, I was seeing Damon Jackson beat Alexander Hernandez up, and I was clowning Hernandez. I was saying, what's this dude got all that muscle for? He's got like this insanely athletic build, but for absolutely fucking nothing. Because he doesn't use his reach. He doesn't use his explosive ability, even though he did end up dropping Damon Jackson in the 5th, or in the 3rd round, I should say, which was a good round for him, of course. What's the point of him having this build and athleticism? He doesn't use it. He was fighting like a little scaredy cat. You have, Damon Jackson, who looks like a 1940s fighter, who's built like a bit of a pipsqueak, stalking him down, biting down on the mouthpiece, and out-gritting him. Damon Jackson won the first. And I'm talking some smack. I'm saying, dude, Alexander Hernandez is such a disappointment, man. What's going on? He's losing to the hairline himself. Or I should say the return of the hairline. That'd be a great movie title. But as I'm talking in the 2nd round, Hernandez, I'm saying this guy's fighting like a scaredy cat. He's on the back foot. He's got no confidence in his jab. He's actually winning, though. At the end of the round, I was saying, wait a second. Hernandez is actually winning. Like, he's landing some more shots. What the fuck is Damon Jackson doing? And then he goes out there and knocks him down in the 3rd. I think you could give that 2nd round to Hernandez. And if you do, then I'm 10-0. I'm undefeated on this card. And it would have been a crazy stat line. Okay? 10 right, 0 wrong. People talking about my picks. Not so much tonight. But Damon Jackson, fucking hell. Maybe the judges were looking at the first and they were thinking, Damon Jackson's got the momentum, and they were doing what I was doing. Can't believe Hernandez is such a disappointment, man. What's he got all that muscle for absolutely nothing? And they're just kind of going with the momentum of the first round, and it's getting in the way of what's actually happening in front of their eyes because, again, I saw Hernandez outstriking Damon Jackson, landing a lot more, and Damon Jackson wasn't landing a whole lot. I thought that this could have been an Alexander Hernandez win. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It was a close fight, but honestly, I would have given the 2nd round to Hernandez. If the judges gave him the nod, he would have won the fight. Let's get on to another one. Another controversial fight. Morgan Charriere versus Chepe Mariscal. Similar to the Chris Curtis and Allen fight, my takeaway from this was, It was Morgan Charriere who lost, and I picked Chepe Mariscal, by the way, but it was Charriere who actually looked like the much more impressive guy. If I were to ask you who surprised you, who impressed you, you'd probably say Charriere. Charriere was out grappling Chepe late in this fight, in the middle of this fight. He was eating all of the bombs that Chepe has to offer, and we know Chepe Mariscal is the guy that beat Trevor Peek, and he outdogged him, and he kind of broke him. And in the first round, it was very close. I've watched that round back. Chepe was putting a ferocious pace on Morgan, and it was not at all getting to him. Like, I was noticing that in the first. I was saying, dude, Morgan is not at all slowing down. His speed, his facial expression, nothing is coming down at all. And he's still in there. And it honestly looks like he's doing pretty fucking well. So maybe that kind of swayed my thinking into thinking he won the round. But when I rewatched it, it was very close on the feet. Chepe had a takedown, and there was even a moment where he had a little flash knockdown up against the fence on Morgan that kind of sat him down to one knee. So it is possible that Chepe wins that round and he wins the third, because at the end of the third round, he had Morgan Charriere in that Brendan Allen position where he was sprawling on him and he was kind of landing some good punches. And in the last 30 seconds, he kind of had this flurry of ground and pound strikes. So I could see why the judges gave him this. But in the second, man, Morgan was outstriking him. He was eating Chepe's shots like nothing. He was taking him down with athletic judo trips and wrestling takedowns and all this. And I was even talking to my chat and saying, this is the real, we were trying to come up with real Sean O'Malley guys. We were trying to say, dude, this guy's fucking really impressive. This is one of the most impressive featherweight prospects we've seen. He's fast as fuck. He's durable. His grappling is legit. His takedown defense is legit. His cardio is legit. So we were having the Peyton Talbot real Sean O'Malley moment, trying to figure out which fighter is Morgan Charriere the real version of. Is it Cyril Gane because he's from France? Is it Kevin Lee because they have a similar look? Some people were saying Mike Mallet and all that. And then, of course, we were about to rush to the comment section of the UFC page to say the real something if you were to actually win, but he loses. Third round was close, but, I could see why the judges gave Chepe that round as well, because he was in there making it competitive until the last minute where he kind of pulled away. And the first, I may have been guilty to giving Morgan the edge just because he impressed me more when Chepe actually made it close and had a little flash knockdown moment. So I could see the judges giving it to Chepe. I could definitely see it, and I got the pick right, so I'm happy about that. But man, Morgan Charriere is an absolute beast in the featherweight division. Him and Yusuf Zalal and, of course, Diego Lopez are my three featherweight prospects to watch. I'm going to make a prospects video very soon, but this is someone you got to watch. Despite him losing, I think he looked better than Chepe. Despite him losing, I think he was the better fighter. It was so close. He won the second round clearly, and he was competitive in the first and the third, and maybe Chepe barely edges it out, but I could see the judges giving the first round to Morgan as well. Either way, really fun fight. I know people were saying that Brendan Allen and Chris Curtis was the fight of the year, but there were so many really solid fights on here. Ignacio Bahamondes, Christos Giagos. Masterclass from Ignacio, who remembered that he had legs, which is really cool. The last time Ignacio fought against Ludovic Klein, he actually forgot he had legs and didn't throw any low kicks or any kicks for that matter. This time, we get the Ignacio with a brain in the cage who's throwing spinning wheel kicks and landing spinning wheel kicks flush to the head, spinning back kicks flush to the head, and leg kicks, and stick it behind the long-rangey 1-2. Masterclass. Beat Christos Giagos up, rocked him multiple times, finishes him with a flush left high kick. Beautiful one-shot high kick KO. Christos didn't go out cold, but Ignacio chose not to follow up with any shots, which was also really good. Showed that he had some good sportsmanship and a good stoppage from the ref. Man, though, Ignacio Bahamondes, when he's actually throwing kicks, is a problem. But Christos Giagos, not the most impressive opponent, but it was about as dominant as you could get. Fair enough, Giagos was landing some big meaty hooks on Ignacio Bahamondes' chin, but still, Bahamondes is tough, and when he's mixing it up and getting creative with his striking, he's one of the most fun fighters to watch in the lightweight division. I'm really excited for his next fight. He said he even dreamed about how he would get this one done with a left high kick. That's the one shot that worked best for him. So really good performance from Ignacio Bahamondes. Nice jab for Bahamondes. Bahamondes could literally just sit behind the jab and just chuck it out there. Oh! Oh! Head kick KO! Holy shit! Flush head kick KO! One shot! Ignacio Bahamondes remembers he has legs. His memory comes back. I'm excited to see this guy in the future. But Christos Giagos, not a big name, kind of at the lower end of the lightweight division. So I don't really know who you're going to give Ignacio next. But yeah, let's get on to the next one. Trevor Peek and Charlie Campbell. Another amazing fight. The whole main card was phenomenal, except for the Alexander Hernandez and hairline fight. But either way, Trevor Peek and Charlie Campbell. Charlie Campbell beat the fuck out of Trevor Peek early with nasty low kicks. The low kicks of Charlie Campbell is one of the best weapons he's had before he even got into the UFC, and he was really showing that tonight. Just minced up Trevor Peek's leg. But of course, the calf kick, unlike what Joe Rogan will tell you, most hungry fighters that want to win are able to eat those calf kicks, and Trevor Peek ate them. Although his leg was getting minced to pieces. It was all purple and, they welted up and whatnot. And Charlie Campbell was landing good shots on the feet, outboxing Trevor Peek, just showcasing a really big skill gap in striking. But it was going to get hard for Charlie Campbell as the fight ramped up because Trevor Peek is such a fucking monster. He's dense, he's fast, explosive, he's strong. In the second round, Trevor Peek just starts going crazy on Charlie Campbell, and Campbell's not getting a reaction out of Trevor Peek that he normally gets out of his opponents when he's hitting them with the long, rangy shots and the right hands and whatnot. Charlie Campbell really reminds me of like a Rob Font at lightweight with the way that he sticks behind his boxing. Really crisp boxing, man. But a much more well-rounded Rob Font, because when Trevor Peek rocked him in the second round, when I thought we were about to see a Trevor Peek hammer fist TKO moment, Charlie Campbell gets a clutch takedown, gets Trevor Peek down, takes his back, maybe edges out the round. I could see them giving that to Trevor Peek, but I think that Charlie Campbell even made it close on the feet in the striking exchanges. But because Trevor Peek is so tough, he did rock him. But Charlie Campbell gets the back. I could see them giving him that round. But it's getting a little bit nerve-wracking because I'm picking Charlie Campbell in this fight. And it looks like Trevor Peek is starting to gain momentum, and Campbell's starting to gas out, and he's starting to break. Third round, Charlie Campbell with urgency, great urgency, shoots a takedown like 30 seconds into it, gets control of Trevor Peek, takes his back. Trevor Peek gets up. Charlie Campbell takes him down again. He takes the back. He's even landing some good ground and pound shots, and he easily outgrapples Trevor Peek in the third round, showing that he's got good fight IQ. Phenomenal, well-rounded skill set for Charlie Campbell. He outgrappled Trevor Peek. He outstruck Trevor Peek when he couldn't, or in the beginning of the fight. So, and he also got through some pretty hard moments in the second round. So I thought this was like a really telling performance for Charlie Campbell. We saw everything from this guy, and he's well-rounded. As I said, really good grappling. He's got heart. Even when he started to slow down, he still made it work. And his boxing and kicks are on another level. Trevor Peek's really fun to watch, but just met the better guy in the cage tonight. And I honestly thought that was a clean sweep for Charlie Campbell. So I'm really excited for this guy's future because he has star potential. He has a lot of star potential. He's only 27, I think. I expect that guy to be a ranked lightweight for a long time in the future. Let's get on to the next one. Court McGee, Alex Morono gets it done by decision. Bit of a stinker, not going to lie. A little bit of a slop fest. And I'm not a big fan of the slop fests when they're at the welterweight level or the lightweight level because they don't have enough thud on their shots to at least make it entertaining. It was sloppy. Alex Morono was feeling guillotines. Court McGee was looking his sloppy self. I mean, it was not a great fight. This, honestly, in my opinion, was like the worst fight on the whole card, outside of the WMMA ones, which I didn't really watch. But either way, Morono gets it done. I picked him to win. I think it was the right pick. He's faced better competition, beat better competition. But having a close fight like that with Court McGee is not the best look. Let's get on to the next one. This is the real one that we got to talk about. Valter Walker versus Lukas Brzeski. I picked Lukas Brzeski. I'm going to say his last name wrong because, again, I'm not... Dude, that's just how I'm going to say his name. I don't know how to say it. Maybe you can correct me in the comments. Lukas Brzeski. Let's call him Brzeski. I picked Lukas Brzeski. I was going to pick Valter Walker to win this fight. But then I rewatched his fights, and I saw the plottiest, heavyweight I've ever seen in my entire life. We think that Shamil the Blob Gaziev is a blob. Valter Walker is a walrus. Valter Walker, watching his fights back, I said it was like looking at a photo because I couldn't tell if he was moving. And he gasses out 3 minutes into this fight with Lukas Brzeski. He takes him down in the first round, and he edges out the first. And I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, Lukas Brzeski looks like a freaking bantamweight in there. He's got a bunch of flab on him. He has like a lighter man's face. He looks like he should be fighting in the lightweight division. I was saying welterweight, to be fair. I think that's more accurate. But Lukas Brzeski was giving up like 100 pounds to Valter Walker, it seemed. Of course, Valter Walker was able to take him down, but I think I didn't even say this yet. This is Johnny Walker's brother, if you didn't know. You should know by now, but it's Johnny Walker's brother. Absolutely no speed, no dynamicism at all. I mean, just didn't look in any way impressive. A plodster with 500 pounds on him to be able to muscle people to the ground. Lukas Brzeski kept it standing in the second and was just beating Valter Walker up. Just beating him to the punch, landing good, long-rangey strikes. He was throwing some silly uppercuts in there, sloppy uppercuts, which would make him close the distance, and Valter Walker would get his hands on him and would come close to takedowns. But Brzeski was also mixing it up to the body, and I think that was big for him. Because if he was just headhunting, he was going to eventually get hit with a big shot or maybe get taken down. But because he was going to the body, he was moving his head off the center line, and he was also chipping away at the gas tank of Valter Walker. And it looked like Walker was about to collapse going into that third round. I mean, he looked exhausted. Third round, Lukas Brzeski is outstriking Valter Walker. Valter Walker, with the 500 pounds that he has on Lukas Brzeski, takes him down, starts stinking it up. Valter Walker starts landing a couple of patter-pat shots. Lukas Brzeski reverses the position with like a minute left on the clock, gets on top of Valter Walker, starts landing some pitter-pat shots. Then Valter Walker, with his 500-pound weight advantage, ends up reversing the position and landing a couple of pitter-pat shots on his own. But my point is, Lukas Brzeski kind of outdamaged Walker in the third. He kind of did. He even reversed the position and got himself like 30 seconds of control time. He clearly won the second. Valter Walker was looking like he was about to collapse at the end of that fight. I don't mind them giving this to Lukas Brzeski. And the reason I picked him again is because this dude, when he's not in front of a 40-year-old midget who's like 50 pounds, he's not able to just stink it up in half guard the whole time. And Valter Walker doesn't even have any like quick twitch ability to knock anyone out that's actually at a high level. I mean, we're talking about high level. And this is Lukas Brzeski, who's literally lost every single one of his UFC fights. This is not a high level. And Walker, I think he would get eaten alive by Shamil Gaziev. We talk about Shamil Gaziev having no gas tank. He was at least able to beat Martin Buday, who was on a 4-fight UFC win streak, and he broke him with the pace. Valter Walker might literally be the worst heavyweight in the division. 29-28. Yes! Yes! Let's go! Lukas Brzeski wins! Hoo, 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 hoo. Yeah! Oh, yeah! Let's go. 4-0, baby. We're 4-0. Walker's trash. That's what you get for fighting like a freaking walrus, man. If Lukas Brzeski's beating him, and it was a close fight, but Brzeski was better than him. Much better on the feet. Better shot selection. He's the better fighter. Valter Walker literally only had moments because he weighs 500 pounds, okay? I think that Lukas Brzeski won. He's fought better levels of competition. Valter Walker's fought a bunch of bum-ba-dum-bum-bums. So, yeah, there should be a new meme for Valter Walker. He is a new blob in the heavyweight division. Let's get on to the next one. Pedro Falcao, Victor Hugo. I picked Victor Hugo to win this fight, and he gets it done. Let's get on to the next one. Pedro Falcao versus Victor Hugo. I picked Victor Hugo to win this one. It was close early on, but Victor Hugo, with the 5-inch reach advantage, started to take over towards the end of the fight. I believe he even hurt Pedro Falcao pretty badly in the third round and just kind of found his rhythm and was outstriking Pedro with left hook after left hook. It was the left hook that really gave him this win, and he gets it done. Really good performance. On to the next one. Dan Arguetta versus Gene Matsumoto. I picked Gene Matsumoto. He has great grappling and really good striking. He was outstriking Dan Arguetta early on, even though he was getting taken down a few times because Arguetta's a bit of a Smudge style of grappler. He's a heavy pressure grappler. But Gene Matsumoto, despite outstriking him, starts going to the grappling. And I was actually complaining. I was like, what is he doing, man? You got to separate. I know he's got good submissions, but I don't know if it's the best idea for him to offensively grapple. It wasn't really working. Second round, Dan Arguetta shoots a takedown on him because, of course, what do you expect him to do? That's the only thing he's got in his game. Gene Matsumoto wraps him up with a guillotine, which I talked about in my prediction video. I said that he has really good reactionary submissions, and he's had a couple of guillotines just like this where he catches someone shooting. So awesome performance from Gene Matsumoto. First fight on the night, Cesar Almeida, Dylan Budka. The most satisfying pick of the night for me. I picked Cesar Almeida. The reason why it was so satisfying is because Dylan Budka, number one, is not a great wrestler, and he was the favorite. Dana White loved him off of the Contender Series, even though he was just kind of smudging his opponent against the octagon. I rewatched his fights before the UFC, and there are fights where he's not even able to take down his opponent. He's just like pushing them up against the fence. He's a super boring grappler, literally like the definition of a crotch sniffer. And he went out there controlling Cesar Almeida early. Cesar Almeida, glory kickboxer, has fought Alex Pereira 3 times, has gone the distance with him, is super dangerous, has great body shots, great kicks. And I was confident, even though he's going to get out-grappled at moments. The difference in striking skill is going to be so much more significant and relevant in this fight than the difference in grappling skill. Dylan Budka is not a dangerous grappler. Cesar Almeida is an extremely dangerous striker. They both have an advantage in those departments, but one is dangerous, the other isn't. Eventually, Dylan Budka came crashing down. He got hit with some nasty, glory kickboxing style of clinch game. Was getting minced up with knees. When Cesar Almeida would reverse the position, he was smacking Dylan Budka with nasty body kicks and head kick attempts. He was hitting him with nice body shots hooked to the body. Eventually, he even starts teeing off on Dylan Budka, who has him up against the fence with those like Alex Pereira, Yuri Prohaska style of elbows to the temple. Budka crashes to the canvas, gets knocked the fuck out, and a boring crotch sniffer gets finished. Come on, man. Nice. He's actually whooping him up with these. Dude, land a knee. Land a knee. Nice. Yeah. Put this man out. Dylan Budka, knock this guy out. Yeah. Front kick to the face. Body shot. He's breaking him. He's breaking him. Thank you for the $1. So much for the Weasel making fun of my picks. The Weasel doesn't even pick any. Nice body kick. Weasel doesn't pick prelims, dude. Weasel literally picks like 2 fights every week. Nice. Let's stop this takedown. Oh, he's breaking. He's breaking now. He's breaking now. Elbows off the side of the head. There we go. He's going to flatten him out with these. Yeah. Get him out of there. Get the motherfucker out of there. Yeah. Yeah, he's shelling up. Yes. Let's go. What up? Woo. Let's go, baby. Get the fuck out of here with that smudge style. Yeah. Most people were picking Dylan Budka. I went with Cesar Almeida, glory kickboxer, Dylan Budka with that shitty-ass wrestling. And I was so happy that I got this pick right. And we just got off to the races with this one. Cesar Almeida gets it done. I got 9 in a row, or I should say 8 in a row to start the night. 1 wrong in the co-main event. I got the main event right. It was very controversial. I'm still not 100% sure if it's a robbery or not. It depends on how you look at the damage, but yeah, Cesar Almeida, he really reminds me of like Azamat Murzakanov. I've said that a couple of times because he's kind of unassuming. He looks old as fuck, and he's not got like the most impressive build, but he's dense. He's density maxing. He's got that quick twitch ability for an old man, which is kind of impressive. So good win for Cesar Almeida. Very entertaining fight night as a whole. We saw a lot of good finishes. A lot of amazing fights as well, and we have UFC 300 coming up soon. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Until next time.